Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In this video we're talking about PlayStation 2, Nintendo Switch, and Zelda. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off here talking about PlayStation 2 emulation on Android with AetherSX2. Just not the version that's on the Google Play Store. Now, I have received a number of messages over the last month and a bit asking if AetherSX2 has gone open source, and getting straight to the point here, no it hasn't. This version here, Mr. Purple 666 AetherSX2, is available on GitHub, but it's not necessarily the real deal, not the full deal at least. Originally, I wasn't going to talk about this one, but I've got a whole bunch of messages about it, so here we are. And it says right in the description, please note that this is not a full source release. And that is something to consider. AetherSX2 hasn't gone open source, and this version on GitHub isn't a complete version. On top of that, the AetherSX2 source file that's available on the Internet Archive is also not the full version, just the free and open source part of it. AetherSX2 is partially open source and partially closed source. The open source is really the PCSX2 stuff, and the closed source stuff is the stuff that Talworth specifically developed for Android. At a really high level, Talworth basically holds the keys that make AetherSX2, well, AetherSX2. As much as I would love to see AetherSX2 go open source and continue on with development, or at least have people come in and try to continue on with development, I don't see that happening anytime soon, if at all or ever. It's super unfortunate. I could be wrong though. I hope I'm wrong. At this point in time, at the very least, AetherSX2 is still available in the Google Play Store. It's still 100% free, it still works great, and I still recommend it. But speaking about open source, and next up we're talking about Nintendo Switch emulation on Android with Skyline, and Skyline is open source and got a whole bunch of updates today. If you head to skyline-emu.1 and click on download, you'll see a whole bunch of updates starting with 1961. So we had 1961 release, 1964, 1966, 1968, and finally 1970, which at the time of filming is the latest version. So with the latest version of Skyline, there's been a whole bunch of performance improvements, bug fixes, and optimizations. And if you've got a Mali GPU, you might want to pick up the latest update because you might see some major improvements. In fact, someone here has Super Mario 3D World Bowser's Furry up and running pretty well. And speaking about running well, last up here we're talking about The Legend of Zelda on the NES. If you're a fan of dungeon crawlers, or if you're not a fan of dungeon crawlers, you're gonna like this update. The Legend of Zelda Ancient Dungeon version 2 has just released. Now this is not your standard Zelda ROM hack. This one has been heavily customized and I would argue is a true roguelike dungeon crawler. So version 2.0 brings about a new options menu, seeds, palette randomizations, a new endgame sequence, key doors, and a better candle. If you wanted to check this one out, I'll drop a link to it in the description below. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. Let me know your thoughts on AetherSX2 not going open source, Skyline, or Zelda in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos, don't tempt fate, save your state.